This is the face of a very happy girl. So I just had day 3 ultrasound. Well, it's not day 3, but it's the 3rd ultrasound. And like on Wednesday, there was no fluid. You guys, I was so nervous there was any fluid again. So there was no fluid, and my lining is thick enough. OMG. I am so excited right now. So the only hitch in the getup is we need to see if I am ovulating. So they did answer me back the other day and said that my levels were still really low, but they weren't increasing compared to the one before. And she said it really can happen on its own time frame. I don't know. She says some people the levels start rising and it ovulates in a day. Other people, it takes longer. It just keeps rising until you ovulate, and then you ovulate and it goes down. So yeah, I talked to Sarah, she's my coordinator at the clinic, about why I'm getting fluid or was getting fluid. And she says, really, they don't know. I discussed, one of my commenters commented that she had some fluid in her tubes and they flushed her tubes and it went away and she had a successful transfer. Well, before I had the last baby, I had the same thing. I went into my OBGYN's office and had them check everything and make sure everything was okay in there. And part of that was going in and inserting fluid into my tubes. And I didn't have any problems after that. So I mentioned it to Sarah. She's gonna talk to the office staff, well, not the office staff, but like it's called chart review, where all the doctors and the smart people sit down and talk. She's gonna mention it and see if maybe that was a factor. But as of right now, uterine-wise, we are good to go. So let's hope hormone-wise we're good to go. And then she said, because they can't schedule, like make a definitive date on transfer and progesterone start until we know if I'm ovulating. And she gave me stuff to stop ovulation so it doesn't start. So here's hoping I'm not ovulating. My husband is of the mind that I'm ovulating because, listen, ladies, our sex life has not been super great, okay? It's been 6 months of attempted transfers, no birth controls, all the things. So you can't rightly get down and dirty with your honey when you ain't got no protection on board and you're trying to get knocked up with somebody else's baby. So last night I was feeling rather frisky. Well, in the last week, I've probably been feeling rather frisky, but that was even before I was doing this, like when I was still in my cycle. I think he's of the mind that I'm ovulating because I want to get down and dirty. I'm of the mind of it's been 6 damn months and Home Skillet would like to get busy with her honey pot. So we'll see today. Who knows? These are the little things that people don't realize happen when you're doing IVF, especially when you're doing IVF for another couple. So bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. I will let you know later today what they say. Hi. So it's the evening. Oh, there's a bug. Well, it's not the evening. It is the evening. It's like 6. Oh, it's 7 o'clock. But in Arizona, it's still bright daylight outside because the sun hates us out here. It's 7 o'clock. The evening of my ultrasound, because I had the ultrasound this morning, which you saw in the first part of this video. As you can see, I am not crying, which is so good. So we started progesterone. You guys, we started progesterone. So she actually called me today to tell me that everything was okay, which was super awesome. So Sarah called me and was like the first words out of her mouth, don't worry, everything's okay. Everything is perfect. We're going to have you start progesterone. Transfer is on the 19th, which is less than a week away. That is, let's see, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 5 days away. 5 days away, you guys. Oh my God. Oh my God, you guys. So she called me like 2 hours ago and I'm still legitimately in disbelief about it. Holy crap. I can't even believe this. I was so nervous going into this morning's appointment. I was so sure, like when we were doing the appointment, I had a different ultrasound tech this time. And the one I normally have, she's like, well, there's fluid there. Or, oh, you know, she talks to me. This one did not talk. And she was like, okay, calling out numbers. Okay, calling out this. And I'm like, whoa, is there fluid? She was like, no fluid. It's a 7, try my linear. I'm just gonna measure your ovaries now. And she talks about ovary things, and like to her person who puts the stuff in the computer, and I was like asking questions. It was a little bit different, so I didn't get the information quite so readily. But I was super excited this morning when they said everything was still fine, and then even more excited when Sarah called. So I had Sarah come in today to talk to me because I had to sign a consent form for CMV, cytomegalovirus, and I recall having to have done this last time as well, but I didn't do it last time until the day of transfer, and I don't really remember much about it. I was just like, all right, they told me it's fine, it's fine. So I had to sign a consent form about possible exposure, so it's something with the FDA or the medical association or something, because anytime anybody has any type of antibody to it, the person has to be aware. So I signed. They said more than likely I have antibodies to it, which is what they told me last time, and doesn't mean anybody has an active infection. So anyway, she had to come and talk about that. So then we started talking about all the other stuff, and I was like, do we know why the fluid was happening this time when last time we didn't have any issues? I think I mentioned it earlier in the earlier video about one of the commenters mentioned that she had some fluid, the same problem, and then they flushed her tubes, and it fixed it. And so thank you for that tidbit, because that got my brain a little thinking, because the last time with the last baby, I had just had a sonohystogram where they went in and checked my tubes to make sure everything was okay, because I was having a lot of weird mucus. So I mentioned that to Sarah, and she was like, I've never heard of that, but let me ask in rounds today. So when she called me, she says, really why I called, all that for this point. Really why I called is to tell you what they said about the tube, what we were talking about, the fluid and the mucus. And she said, more than likely, what Dr. Shapiro said is more than likely, it was just a natural thing that happens after pregnancy. She said what he told her was, a lot of times after pregnancy, you just get one really big follicle that just releases a whole bunch of extra intrinsic estrogen, and that's what was jacking it up. And said that is probably more than likely why my body reacted differently this time opposed to last time. And sometimes it lingers for far longer than you think it should, which is why we've had the issues all the time. Because this time everything was exactly how it should be. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Today they even said we're going to add a little bit of estrogen just to keep your lining where it needs to be. So, yeah. Transfers in 5 days, and I don't have any fluid, and my lining is technically thick enough. Oh my God, you guys. And I'm going to have a different friend that's going to go with me this time, I think. Miss Debbie can't go this time. So I think I'm going to have somebody else go with me. My husband was going to go with me, but I have to be at the clinic at 7 a.m. and I worked the day before. So it makes no sense to drive all the way home, sleep for like 3 hours because I don't get home until 11. And then I would have to, if I have to be there by 7, so 5, 6, 7, I'd have to leave here at 5, which means I have to be up at 4, so I'd get 5 hours of sleep. So I think I'm just going to stay up there. That's the plan for right now, is just stay up there after work and go to get my lab work in the morning, and then at 11 I will go back for transfer. I don't know that I'll make a transfer video this time because I don't know that it's going to be much different than it was last time. I mean, what are you going to do? See my face and the same thing. So if anybody wants to see a transfer video, I have one from 2 years ago that you can watch, and yeah, we'll go from there. I talked to the parents tonight. They're very excited. I don't know if I mentioned before or not, this one is a donor egg, so that's a different little factor here. I feel, I'm a little nervous about that, but I talked to them about it and they said everything's gonna be fine. So, yeah, I'm just so excited. I've got my little hot pad. You can see I bought a new hot pad this time because my one I used last time didn't have a cover on it. And so it was just the weird plastic thing on the inside, and I was burning my backside with it. So I had to spend money and buy a new one. I am cheap AF, you guys, so I don't like to spend it unless I have to. Only thing I'm a little concerned with really at this point now is how is this going to affect my CrossFitting? Because I've been CrossFitting. I'm a CrossFitter now. I do the CrossFit things. I lift things and they go up over my noggin sometimes when I can get them up there, and I want to die every single day I go. Everybody wants to die. Even the people who are strong as fuck
and they are so tough, and they are like mad CrossFitters. They are dying. As such, I know I'm probably not gonna be able to do that all the time now, if this goes through like we planned. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to my CrossFit peeps tomorrow because the head honcho dude is there. I talked to him about it when I started, about how we modify for pregnancy, and he's like, we've had many women in here who've CrossFitted during their pregnancy. He says we just scale it back. We scale it back, but we keep you moving and we keep you healthy. So I am happy to say I've only been at CrossFit for two and a half months now, and we just did measurements, and I've lost 5 inches total and 14% of my body fat. Hey, that makes me happy. So we'll see how it's going to get affected, because last time I was so miserable and I was just so fat that working out was impossible. But partly because maybe I really liked tacos, and the things. So I don't know, we'll see. I'll know more next week. That the next update you get will probably be transfer, unless something doesn't go right, and then I will update sooner than that. So I look forward to it, you guys. Here's for the next 5 days.